Director Reynolds leaned forward. So, Captain Thorn, what exactly is this favor you're calling in? I took a deep breath. Here goes nothing. My company is 7 days from total bankruptcy and seizure by the Galactic Council. I need you to save it. The silence that followed was so profound I could hear the air circulation system. Director Reynolds broke it with a laugh. That's not a favor, Captain. That's a miracle. Exactly, I replied, meeting his gaze. And I've heard humans are surprisingly good at those. Admiral Chen's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. 7 days to save an entire interstellar trading company from bankruptcy under council law. With no resources, no political leverage, and presumably against significant opposition. That's correct. The three humans exchanged glances. Then, to my astonishment, Admiral Chen smiled. Well, he said, it's been a while since we've had a proper challenge. 6 hours later, I found myself aboard a sleek human diplomatic vessel called the Swift Venture, hurtling through hyperspace back toward Council space. Admiral Chen had wasted no time assembling what he called a specialized team. When I asked about their qualifications in galactic finance and trade law, he just smiled enigmatically and said, they're qualified in getting things done. Wonderful. Cryptic responses. Just what my impending financial doom needed. The ship's conference room door slid open, revealing the three humans who were supposedly going to save my entire livelihood. I tried not to look as skeptical as I felt. Krex Thorn, Meeker Salvation Team, announced Admiral Chen, who had accompanied us. Felix Bright, former corporate negotiator turned, well, let's call him a creative problem solver. Felix was a lanky human with a shock of blonde hair and an easy smile that didn't quite reach his calculating eyes. He wore what humans called a suit, a formal covering that somehow managed to look both restrictive and elegant. Pleasure to meet the man who saved the horizon, Felix said, extending his hand. Captain Voss speaks highly of you. I grudgingly shook his hand, still uncomfortable with the custom. Nora Chen, systems and data specialist. No relation to me, added the Admiral with what humans call a wink, a bizarre one-eyed blink that apparently indicated humor. Nora nodded curtly. She was shorter than the others, with intense focus radiating from her posture. Her fingertips constantly twitched as though manipulating invisible controls. I've already begun my preliminary analysis of Council financial networks, she said without preamble. Wait, what? What is? And Marcus Reed, formerly of Earth's diplomatic corps, now specializing in, shall we say, creative interpretations of interstellar law. Marcus was the oldest human present, with silver hair contrasting against rich brown skin. He carried himself with quiet confidence. The Galactic Council's legal code has 723,000 pages, he remarked casually. Nobody knows all of it. Not even the Council. Admiral Chen clapped his hands together. Well, I'll leave you to it. The Swift Venture will get you back to Nexus Prime in 2 days. That gives you 5 days on the ground before Captain Thorn's deadline. 5 days? 5 days. I felt my scales fluttering in distress. Now hold on, I protested as the Admiral turned to leave. This is my entire life we're talking about. What exactly is your plan here? How are 3 random humans going to save my company from council bankruptcy proceedings? Felix grinned, dropping into a chair and propping his feet on the conference table. Tell me, Captain Thorn, what do you know about human history? Specifically about how humans respond to impossible situations. Very little, I admitted. Your species is relatively new to galactic society. Felix exchanged glances with his colleagues. Nora, show him the list. Nora's fingers danced across her datapad, and suddenly the room's holographic projector sprang to life. A document appeared in the air between us titled Humanity's Greatest Hits. Impossible Problems Solved. This is a compilation of situations throughout human history where we faced what other species might consider impossible odds, Marcus explained, scrolling through the list. The moon landing with 1960s technology, the Mediterranean reclamation after the climate crisis, the Osiris-9 rescue mission, the Amazon rainforest regeneration. I scanned the list, unimpressed. These are all problems from your own world, involving your own species. Fair point, Felix conceded. Nora, show him Operation Lazarus. The hologram changed to display footage of what was unmistakably a villain colony world. Tarsus IV, if I remembered correctly. The planet was surrounded by a Gora hive fleet. If you don't know the Gora, count yourself lucky. Insectoid hive mind warriors, utterly ruthless. The footage showed the colony, seemingly doomed. The villains asked for help after the council refused to intervene, claiming Tarsus IV was outside their jurisdiction. Marcus narrated. Humanity sent 3 ships. The footage continued, showing those 3 ships somehow impossibly driving off the entire hive fleet through a series of maneuvers that made absolutely no tactical sense. How? I demanded. We told the Gora we had mapped their queen's pheromone signature and could track her anywhere in the galaxy, Felix said with a casual shrug. It was a bluff. We had nothing. But the Gora retreated because... Nora interjected. Humans have a reputation for being just crazy enough to try something that insane, and just lucky enough to succeed. I stared at them, my mind racing. And this is your approach to saving my company. Bluffing and insanity. Felix smiled broadly. Captain Thorn, we're going to use every tool available. Legal loopholes, data manipulation, negotiation, intimidation, and yes, perhaps the occasional strategic bluff. By the time we're done, the council won't know what hit them. That's not a plan. That's madness, suggested Marcus with a slight smile. Exactly. Well, Felix said, leaning forward with a gleam in his eye that sent a shiver down my spine, you wanted humanity's help. Madness is our specialty. For the first time in months, I felt something dangerous stirring in my chest. Hope. The Grand Commerce Hall of Nexus Prime resembled a massive honeycomb, with hundreds of offices, meeting rooms, and ceremonial chambers buzzing with activity. Bureaucrats from 1,000 worlds shuffled datapads and mumbled regulations at one another. The air smelled of anxiety and printer toner, a universal constant, apparently. We had been on Nexus Prime for exactly 6 hours when we encountered Draxeller. Well, if it isn't the soon-to-be former Captain Thorn, his voice boomed across the atrium, drawing stares. Drax always did love an audience, with his gleaming horns polished to a shine, and his expensive shimmer silk trading cloak. He looked every bit the successful merchant he was. Come to beg the council for mercy. Perhaps a payment extension, or maybe you're just here to sign the transfer documents early. I felt my neck scales rising in anger, but Felix stepped smoothly between us. You must be Draxeller, he said pleasantly, extending his hand. I've heard so much about you. Drax ignored the outstretched hand, his 6 eyes narrowing at the human. And who might you be? Felix Bright, representing Terran mutual interests. Felix's smile never wavered. I understand you're